All right. Welcome back, ladies and gents. Sean here at Blue Ridge Silverhound. Something a little bit different and new here for the weekend. We are actually going to explore some of the biggest movers in the coin market today. You're going to find that quite a few of these pieces that we're going to talk about here today are more modern U.S. Mint product. They're painting this picture of pretty wild price swings, and we're going to kind of talk about what has happened. A good fair amount of these are certainly buzzworthy, easy to talk about. The numbers don't lie in this particular case, and this will let you guys know firmly the specific coins that maybe are investable over the short term or the long run. You're going to find that, again, the numbers don't lie. And a lot of the pieces, the drive for the market on them is that they're in graded holders. And that's fine, but we're also going to explore some of the non-graded individual pieces for a few of these items as well, because they're showing lots of life in the current state of the coin market. So, that's my wife in the background, by the way, snapping tape, doing some shipping for some stuff we did on Whatnot. So, pardon that. As we look into the first coin, not doing so well in the market today. Now, of course, none of this is financial advice. You make do with the information that's given to you guys. You might find the information I give to you might be a catalyst for you to move them because you just don't want to lose any more money. But really, the one coin, unfortunately, and I kind of saw this on the horizon. The more people just became aware of the fact that the 2021 D 100-year anniversary Morgan dollars that were released by the Mint at that time were going to be the big one out of all of them. Some had said even before the product even launched that the CC Privy was going to be the one that kind of drove the market, and it just simply was the case. Things have kind of like flopped and flipped here. The 2021 D was plagued with quality control issues. Some folks have reported receiving their coins at the time of issue with circular pattern damage on either the front or back of the coin. They don't know how it happened. It might have been done in pack out. There's been a lot of speculation what could happen to those. So the Denver coin, which is actually minted at the Denver Mint facility because it has an actual regular Denver Mint mark on them, were going to be the tough ones. They were tough to grade in a perfect 70, and really early on, people were enjoying really good sales on these at between $1,200 and $1,500 for a mid-state 70. Now, a lot of that is driven to the PCGS graded examples at the time, and prices have held really well on these for the course of about three and a half years. It wasn't until about a year ago there was something that happened. I think more people probably submitted more pieces to the grading companies. And the grading companies kind of like let off the pedal a little bit and assigned more mid-state 70s on these. And then now we're seeing the after effects of that with the prices that we're seeing here today. Now, this is all up to date right now as we speak. There are, there's the full run here. First day of issues, first strike, coinage, early issue, things like that. It really doesn't matter. They're all being negatively affected due to the boom in the census for mid-state 70 pieces. So these are all August 2nd, so that's within the last day. NGC mid-state 70, 2021D selling at 611. That one organically bid up 19 times. In case you're wondering, it doesn't matter. PCGS also suffering the same fate. 636 right there with 28 bids. Here's another PCGS coin right here, although it is not a first strike or first day of issue, but it does include the original OGP packaging with the COA at 6.25. Here's one here that didn't quite manage to hit 600 at $590, also in a perfect 70, 46 bids. Here's a complete set of all 6 coins in mid-state 70 at $2,600. 2021D, this is the Annex version, advanced release, and that one selling for $293.88. Obviously, the market sentiment for Annex graded, what we call kind of like top tier or top pop coins, just doesn't really fit the mold with what collectors are looking for when they're maybe putting together a registry set or something like that. Annex doesn't really quite figure into the equation, and that's unfortunate. Here's another NGC early releases. Now, early releases, first day of issue, these all were graded very early on, either before the coin released on the US Mint website or shortly thereafter. There were bullion dealers that received these in advance because they have a contract direct with the US Mint, where if they ordered a X amount of dollars worth of bullion product, they get it in advance, which allows them to have the coins graded and subsequently sold on the market. And there were certain cases where when the coins were released on the US Mint at the time of issue, that there were already live graded pieces out in the market, whether that's on eBay or on direct through the competitor's website like AppMax, Pinehurst, and a few of the other folks out there. They have already received their graded coins from either NGC, PCGS, Annex, and a few others. Here's another PCGS coin right here in 70, 530, 19 bids, and it just continues on down the line. Someone actually paid $809 for an NGC coin. That was neither a first strike or early release. So, that's probably an outlier right there, as someone just wanted to buy the coin and not deal with the rigmarole of being in an active live auction. But as the I guess the quantity of listings that occur in these mid-state 70 grades, you could just as easily just hang around and wait for some of these to sell live at auction and save yourself some money. Here's another 70. This one was located in United Kingdom for only $401. So as you can see, another outlier here, advanced releases 100-year anniversary for $1,200. Again, for every one that sells for that kind of money, there's going to be 20 others that sell for what we call just the kind of like that active market price, which is right around, I would say on average, somewhere in like $550 to $575. Some will sell a little bit more, some a little bit less. But as you can tell, this market here has hemorrhaged quite a bit just over the last 12 to 18 months on these coins, as people are looking forward to like newer things. Now, the pieces from 2021, since it was the proper 100-year anniversary of these coins, nobody's really thinking about 2023 release, 24 release, 2025, even though that, they kind of just put those out for sale, last week or the week before. Nobody's really ever thinking about those because those are, I guess they consider them just a normal rotation in the US Mint product portfolio. The 2021s were the more meaningful because they had the different variants of them. Such pieces like the Peace Dollar is kind of like has been going up a little bit over the last year. That one has enjoyed somewhere in like the 15 to 20% adjusted price. Let's see, the regular Philadelphia Mint Morgan Dollar 2021 has crept up a little bit. And also the Carson City and New Orleans Privy coins have also kind of crept up a little bit too. And perfect 70s have been like in the $400 to $500 range. So we're seeing kind of like a meetup right here of the Denver to the other coins in the series. So they're all kind of like beginning to be along the same wavelength value-wise for perfect print mid-state 70 versions. Now, when we look at the PCGS census here, the 2021 Denver line that you see here, when you go all the way across to where it says 70, 10,120 coins were graded in a 70, which I think represents, was that about 10% of the entire run? Didn't they make about 100,000 of these or 125,000? In any event, that's a good amount of number. I mean, compared to the other coins that were released in 2021, it is the lowest. In 69, you can see 7,042. So the ratio is much tighter. But if there was going to be any sustainability whatsoever in this coin at the top grade, we would have seen like a flip-flop of the numbers. Maybe 69s would be 10,120, and perfect 70s would be a lot less than that at 7,000. But we're seeing that the number has surpassed in 70 for that particular coin, and that is the reason why that the market sentiment has softened quite a bit on that coin. Unfortunately, for some of you that may have paid over $1,000 for that coin, now the coin is roughly worth about 55% of what it was 12 to 18 months ago. So obviously the biggest and softest mover, the biggest mover, not necessarily the softest, but the biggest mover in a negative direction is that coin. Now, the ones that are enjoying just really robust, strong sales, the first one, by no surprise, and you would think this one might be on the list, I don't know, is going to be the brand new 2025 Proof Silver Eagles with the Army Privy mark on them. Okay, both in graded and also in the raw form. These have stayed at a very nice, strong level. Their original issue was $105 per coin, and which is, I believe, closer the same as a non-Privy Silver Eagle, and whatever that looks like. It could be another 2025W or what have you. But this seems to be, and there was a lot of buzz over the Armed Forces Privy coins for this year than there has been. All right, and right now, prices really haven't dropped too much of these since its issue, like a month and a half ago, or whenever these things went live on the US Mint website. And there was that kind of standard first 7 days, just really ridiculous high price markup on these. A lot of the raw coins at the time were selling right around $275 to $300, and even still over the course of like 30 days. They've all normalized in this like $225 to $230 level, which is very healthy for the market. It's showing the strength of not only Silver Eagles, but also the support of our servicemen, regardless of what branch they work for and or serve for. It's really cool to see this kind of support. And the mintages, I think, are perfect. For what we have here. I believe it's 100,000 pieces. And we have the Marines and the Navy coming out later this fall, which I'm sure it's going to follow in the same trajectory as the Army. So we have perfectly positioned, time-wise, this one sale on August 3rd for $228. And what makes it so perfect is this one was bid up to that amount. It wasn't a buy it now kind of delivery or anything like that. That was kind of like real world pricing on one singular raw coin with the original government packaging. That particular seller is gonna enjoy $100 of net profit from in comparison to how much the original sale price was for this particular coin. Graded pieces are, they're holding steady for Perfect 70 Ultra Cameo Proof examples for right around $450 to $500. Great to see. And it's a very sexy, very attractive coin. One that I wish I would have bought a few for myself. Because my dad served in the Army and in the Navy. He actually did a couple branches there during his time. But this is something that maybe I'm not too late on trying to get, and it's crazy that when 2x the issue price still seems like a logical kind of price point for these things on the secondary market. Not saying that I'm willing to accept that the U.S. Mint travel these things up to 199 at issue. I'm not down for that. But I think all of the right things happened here with this release, and as you can tell, it's the activity for this coin is quite robust. I love the fact that they're doing different variants. NGC, by the way, kudos to them. Putting their just creative minds to the test here with some of these slab label designs, and it's chef's kiss. Pinehurst being one of the innovators of selling such product, that I would personally buy one of these colorized NGC slabs with the perfect 70 with a coin in there. It looks simply amazing. And then there are a few others, in here. I did see one with like a camo kind of design that is just gorgeous, right here. This one right here. This one here is sold by Coin Advisor. Is a perfect 70 Ultra Cameo in this Michael Gaudioso signed Army Camo Core, which is really cool. I saw this thing and I'm like, man, that is really neat. And it's actually the U.S. Mint Medallic artist who helped do the laser, I guess, engraving of the Privy on there, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, when they integrated laser engraving to do the Privy marks, they could get really fancy on these things, as opposed to just doing just a regular design on the working die to make it happen. This right here is really cool to see. $1,075 is what that one sold for, and it's a rather cool, very unique piece right there, and and someone bought it. That's absorb that into the market, and that becomes kind of normal place, standardized for what we're seeing from the Army Privy Silver Eagles. The next one right here that I guess I had just really crashed on because I have my personal take on the 24 karat gold Sacagawea. All right, that came out the other day. Obviously, I'm not a supporter of this particular coin. I made that abundantly clear through some rated R words and all that stuff, and I do apologize about that. But I did put a warning at the beginning of the video before I went just crazy on there. I missed a mark on this one from a collector and market perspective. This one right here, 7,500 mintage, release price $2,175, which isn't horrible. It's like a $500 premium above and beyond melt for this piece, compared to a few of the other U.S. Mint products like the Superman half ouncer, which is another $500 more on top of what this coin sold for originally. Here is what just a quick flip will get you. You'll earn yourself after fees and stuff right around $375 to $400 in profit. Pretty fair right there if you didn't want to deal with like sending these out to grading. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Grading these is where it's at, and you're going to be making just a buttload of money by doing that, because a lot of these are going to be crafted to the best quality that you would expect for what it is. And Perfect 70 Ultra Cameos right now are selling in excess of $3,000. So that, is going to be a nice little chunk of profit. $3,095 with 49 bids. Actually, it looks pretty nice in that black holder that NGC uses. Here's a first day of issue type for almost $3,200. Pinehurst making it happen again with a quick buy it now hit. There's a best offer accepted for $2,600. $3,094 for that one there. $3,574.99 for a PCGS first day of issue. which is a pretty gosh darn big discrepancy from some of the other prices I've seen. Here's an NGC one right here for 3,500, 3,600 for another PCGS, 3,500, 3,600 in that black core, 3,800. That's from July 19th. That was from like a while back, even before the coin was released on the Mint website the other day. So, I mean, I missed the mark on these. Unfortunately, I there was just enough demand to completely sell out all 7,500 of them, even with a household order limit of one. It was a low mintage that kind of screams buyout, is what I feel like this is. And when you look at the sellers for the coin, Modern Coin Mart, Coins Addict, Pinehurst, you have these big bullion dealers that are coming together to buy these things and then get them graded. If these things were available for sale through the U.S. Mint contracts with all the bullion dealers and whoever else, then I would say out of the 7,500 made, probably already half of them were already spoken for through the bullion dealers. So please keep that in mind. Not all 7,500 were available to the general public. Good vast majority of them already sold out, and it's clear here who has these in stock. And it's going to be the big bullion dealers. So that's that right there on the Sacagawea. And congrats to anyone that picked it up and decided to flip these. You're going to make a little bit of money in the process. Couple coins that are going to be coming out here. August now all of a sudden has some attention on it before we get into the fall season here. And when the kiddies are heading back to school, there's a couple really, really cool releases. There's this 2025 laser engraved American Silver Eagle. That's going to sell out, no doubt about it. But if you look just to the side of this coin, yeah, we have a couple beauties coming up here. A gold version and a silver metal version. Now, the gold version is an actual legal tender coin with a face value of $100. The silver is a metal. It has no assigned cash value. It is just a thing, a novelty that the U.S. Mint is going to be selling. But boy, oh boy, the design for these two pieces, absolutely amazing. And I love sunflowers. It's cool. I think the design that they put on both of these here for both the gold and the silver respectively, very attractive. And the fact that they do a high relief with the design that really pops off the coin, my goodness, there shouldn't be any reason why these things cannot sell out. And we won't know what the actual mintage is going to be probably until we get a few days before the actual release of either of those pieces. Now, the laser engraved, let's talk about it. Since we're on the subject of the Armed Forces Privy coins that we're seeing this year, this one right here kind of came out of left field. Like, people are thinking, well, what is this? It's kind of like a sample of their laser engraving capability, which they done on the Army Privy coin. I don't know if you guys are aware, but they laser engraved the privies on an already struck coin. All right, it's not part of the working die, from what I realize, and that's why they call it the laser engraved American Eagle. This one right here has kind of like a starburst pattern with a circle, and that's the Privy for this one. This one right here, ladies and gentlemen, has a mintage limit of only 100,000. Same as the Army. I'm sure the Marines and the Navy are all going to be somewhere in that 100,000 mintage mark. This one, no doubt about it, is going to sell out, especially at $105. It's kind of like just this rando Privy. It really doesn't signify anything other than the current technology that the Mint is employing to produce Privy marks on their coins, instead of actually doing, the design aspect of the working dies. These are applied, I guess, afterwards, after the coin is already struck, on their laser engraving machinery. And I suppose that gives the best quality at the end of it all. So yeah, I mean this one right here is kind of a sleeper in the U.S. Mint catalog for this year, and especially here in the month of August, this thing is going to be positioned very weirdly enough to the American Liberty releases, American Liberty high relief coins, both the silver metal and the gold. So we'll see how it does, because that's the day before, and then August 21, you have those two beasts right there, and we'll see what happens. And then right after that, they have the 2025 ornaments for the American Women's final series of quarters on there as well. Those are, if you want them, you want them. I'm not saying they're an afterthought whatsoever, because they do sell, but that's not going to be something that personally a lot of collectors will gravitate towards and buy out. So last topic of conversation for what is moving the market: toned peace dollars. My goodness, these things have just kind of come out of nowhere here in the last 12 to 18 months, 24 months. It's worth some sort of conversation. Now, we're on greatcollections.com, and they are the ultimate barometer check for something specific. You're going to see it on this website, because they sell hundreds, if not thousands, of coins every week. And, the toned peace dollar market, oh my goodness. Oh, geez. It's crazy. Specific tone coins perform the best. And even on just regular average Joe dates, like 1922, 1923, 24, 25, very common kind of dates. The prices, the premiums that they sell for is wacky. And the theory is with these is that peace dollars were never made available in large quantities through the GSA. As a matter of fact, there wasn't a whole lot. What was available was a very small amount that they put in the GSA soft packs, and those in itself are rare. And it doesn't matter if they were toned or not, and whether they were common dates or not. These were not sitting around in canvas bags in the mint vaults, since the 1880s, much like the Morgan dollars were. And that's why we see a lot of Morgan dollars with these crazy Aurora Borealis type colors on them, is that they were sitting in the most opportune environments to foster that kind of coloration on those coins. The peace dollars were not. Peace dollars were circulating, in the 20s and 30s, and they were never in U.S. Mint vaults, especially in those canvas bags. So these kind of grew in their own environment, whether it's, they were kept in an old jewelry box at home or whatever, to promote some of the wacky colors on here. A lot of the colors are quite ugly. But when you come across things like, say, this 1934 peace dollar, I mean, this, you don't see this customarily on, let alone peace dollars, but also Morgan dollars. All right. And this 1934 that is graded mid-state 66 plus is an already baked in very expensive coin at that grade. I think it's like PCGS price guide, it's like $6,000. So the toning was nice. It helped with the sale, but, even still at $5,300, it didn't quite get up there. But where you're going to see the biggest impact overall for toning is going to be, again, on those very common dates, where you have a few of them here just over the last 60 days. That's worth a mention. So even things like this, okay, so that right there is pretty attractive toning, albeit it's a little bit on the more terminal dark side. That one's okay on that 23S, but it's a mid-state 64. So mid-state 64, I believe is like $375 on the PCGS price guide. Here's a 1923 in Mid-State 64 with a cat green sticker. This in a 64 is $100 right there. So that's a $100 coin without the toning. This one here is selling for $205. That's not even the most craziest of them all. Here's one that sold just the other day, a 22. You couldn't even talk about the most common date. This is also a Binion collection piece, which there was a ton of Binion coins out there that were graded by NGC. And the Binion name alone doesn't produce a whole heck of a lot of premium. But this one here, a NGC Mid-State 64 Star, is typically around a $90 to $100 coin without the toning. And this one, see, $556 because of the toning you see on the reverse. And believe you me, if that color was on the obverse where Lady Liberty is sitting, forget about it. You figure this coin would probably end up being $800 to $1,000 because what happens toning wise on the coin if it's on the front, the main featurette of that particular coin is going to produce a lot more desirability for the coin because of the placement. So, yeah, this is one of the crazy ones here, just from the last like couple weeks. Nice 28S, although it's not very impressive toning. There were a few that I did see here. Here's some artificial tones in there. Here is a Mid-State 63 24 piece, where the money shot is on the reverse. So this one right here, a Mid-State 63 24 is generally about a $65 coin. This one sold for $267 hairs, which is huge. That's a pretty big difference in price, just for the color on there. We got a 23 piece. This Las Vegas Teddy's Toner Collection, Mid-State 65, is about a $185 coin. This one went for $523. And this one has the toning on the correct side when it comes to desirability. You have lots of teal. You have some beautiful purple and magenta in there. It's very nebulous. It's like outer space colors on this one. A very attractive coin. So a coin that went for about approximately 3x the value here in comparison to what the actual guide valuation is. And people usually pay less compared to what guide value is. So another big one there. That one is July 20th. That was just, 2 weeks ago. Here's one that I bought on that same sale for $205. It's a 22D and 62 that is valued right around $75 in this grade, paying the premium on there. But guess what? I got this coin and I sold it within 2 days for $400. So this one right here, it sold okay, but I ended up getting more for it from one of my clients that collects specifically toned dollars, and it's all different dollars: Morgan, Peace, Trade dollars, things like that, Ike dollars even. So this one very attractive. I was like, man, maybe I should really keep this one, even paying that 3x adjusted premium because of the toning on this one. And it's on both sides. I'm kind of having like seller's remorse on this one already because I'm a big Peace dollar collector. So. Again, another piece there that went for crazy money. There was a 22 that sold for about 2.5 times there. We're gonna end off on this one here, this 1922 in Mid-State 63. Again, another like $65 coin. Ended up going for $468, and it's easy to see why on this one. Look at that thing, very nice across the spectrum. Kind of toning, and it's like it's not even totally encapsulating the coin, it's just really pretty. That is a really gorgeous one there. I will also want to show you, but before we get too far on this one, just some of the highest priced ones over the last like 5 years. And you guys are gonna like spin your head on a swivel. It's so crazy. Now there's some key dates in here. That's all supporting a lot of these big prices. But once we get into some of the more common dates, there was a few in here. I might have to go to the next page. I mean, 1925 is a common date, but Mid-State 67 Plus CAC green sticker is huge. It's huge. Here's the 1922. This one is on here because it's an NGC old vintage black holder, which are rare. So that one is sold because of the holder itself. I mean, and there's some that look like this. For crying out loud, this one sold in 2022. It's a 22D, much like my coin, but that one's 66 plus. It's such a huge grade that it's a very expensive coin regardless. There's a 23 in there. 26. Yeah, look at this thing. Back from last year. Mid-State 6623. I believe it's like $450 or $500. This one sold for $9,200. This thing is so whacked out, man. This thing's crazy. This is the one I wanted to sell you guys. That's so undeniably radioactive. I would have loved to add this one to my collection if money were not an object. And this thing's wild. Someone paid a lot of money, but at the same time, they have something so incredibly rare and unique that something like this just doesn't come up that often because again, peace dollar toners just don't show up in the marketplace. So yeah, that's why I want to show you. That was kind of at a glance all of the major movers in the coin market today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. You got a little takeaway of what's hot and what's filthy or not, like the 21D Morgan. I'm sorry that if you guys paid up for that one a year or two ago. I know it's kind of a bitter pill to swallow, but it might be settling down to the point where it's flattened out on that one. So that's the good news. So that's it. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for tuning in on this one. And don't forget, we're enjoying the hobby together. And I will see you on the next coin video. So long, guys.